Almost everyone in the world today with access to an electronic device and the internet is on social media. Some use it all the time, some use it infrequently, but it can't be denied that it is used by millions. I'd like to talk about how social media use by players of the National Basketball Association can be detrimental to their career on the basis that social media has a negative effect on the mental and physical health of anybody. The main avenue of social media I have looked at is Twitter, but points mentioned in this video can apply to other social media outlets too. I believe the info provided here can be used to gauge a player's potential health issues from using social media and subsequent below average performance in games. Social media addiction is a very real thing, and in a study by Du, Kerkhoff, and Van Konensbrogen for cyberpsychology, they explain the phenomenon of social media self-control failure, which is the inability to control your regular intake of social media. This graph shows all the different contributors found in the study, as well as how they can combine with each other in terms of how likely they were to make the user intake more social media. Entertainment, habits, instant gratification, and notifications are among what makes social media more enticing to the user and pulls them back in for more. And it's like that by design. Next, I'd like to talk about the potential for tweets to tell us what a person's sleep pattern is. The Journal for Clinical Sleep Medicine studied tweets by the President of the United States on their personal Twitter account. On Twitter, there are three main ways to show activity: liking a tweet, retweeting a tweet, or posting a tweet of your own. This graph shows the total of number of tweets per hour between January 20th, 2017 and June 2nd, 2017. As you can see, there's only really one night out of these hours of the day where there wasn't a single tweet that went out. This isn't comparable to a regular NBA player, seeing as they may not be as busy or generally active on Twitter, but this is a way to show how an NBA player's potential sleep pattern can be gauged solely on social media activity. It may not be 100% accurate either, but if it is a late night tweet, it does not matter, because if they do tweet and then go to sleep sometime later, they are potentially still up late and possibly being deprived of sleep regardless. Now, to delve further into the effects of sleep deprivation, the question of the toll it can take on a person needs to be answered. In an NBA game, a player needs to be able to react as fast as possible in all situations on the court, and they need to multitask. Dribbling the basketball while still moving, talking to teammates all at the same time. Oftentimes all of these things plus immense pressure as well, considering the level that they may be playing at. This graph from a study from Plus One, which involved tests on sleep-deprived healthy males aged 21 to 30, which is coincidentally a relatively accurate age demographic of males in the NBA, who were given a fixed schedule of 8 hours of sleep and 16 hours awake. They were given tests that involved one task, 2 tasks, and 3 tasks, and measured their errors as well as reaction time, both things that are, as previously mentioned, very important in basketball. Unsurprisingly, these tests showed that when sleep deprived, performing these tasks show poorer results than someone who had a better sleep pattern. To drive the point home even further, a study by Sleep Health Journal that studies the association between late-night tweeting and next-day game performance among professional basketball players. By comparing tweets posted between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., the correlation with their performance in a game the next day was found to be worse than average. In their study, they tested athletes in different sports. This graph shows specifically how basketball players with more sleep were affected, showing that their free throw percentage and three-point percentage plus overall efficiency was above average with more sleep. If you haven't noticed by now, I've been meaning to thread a line from social media addiction to sleep deprivation to the effect it can have on an NBA player's performance. However, there is one more thread to add to top it all off. According to Basketball Reference, the average player salary going into the 2019-2020 NBA regular season is $7,193,977, and the median salary is $3,150,000. Players can sign contracts, which is how they obtain this money, and these contracts guarantee different amounts of money. It can be assumed from this considerable amount of money that isn't even representative of how much the big stars make, that if you were an NBA player, you would want to guarantee you obtain as much money as possible. The main way to do this is through performing well in games. In a study by Paul Summers from the Middlebury College Department of Economics, Summers explains how shooting efficiency can affect an NBA player's salary. Through data, Summers found that 60 to 70% of the variation in NBA players' salaries during the 2007-2008 NBA season could be explained by three different measures: NBA efficiency, win score, and core score. Summers determines that NBA efficiency is most likely the best method of determining how player salary is determined. And since said method includes a subtraction of missed field goals and free throws, this proves that it is ideal to be at your optimal performance before a game than be sleep deprived and performing worse than you are able. A study from the Sports Journal corresponds with this, concluding that points per game and field goal percentage were the main contributors to player salary, thus meaning that a player should have a high scoring average as well as a high shooting percentage to perhaps add more money to their NBA salary. This final thread brings us to a full story that can have a big impact on NBA players. Social media addiction can cause sleep deprivation. NBA players who are possibly using social media at later hours in their subsequent performance. Finally, if said performance is below average, there could be a potential dock and pay salary-wise. NBA players are paid millions of dollars a year. If they aren't performing to the top of their ability, then what's the point of playing? You should always be trying to improve your game, and considering it is a job, getting raises in salary as well. I know full well that what may contribute to players performing below average won't always be due to sleep deprivation. In fact, it's quite unlikely. The point of this is to simply point out previous evidence of this and pinpoint it as a possible explainer of below average play in the future, as society moves more and more into the rabbit hole that is social media.